Hey guys, today we're going to go over the hammer project, and I want to walk through you exactly what I would do building this hammer from home. So to start, I just have this cereal box opened up, and that's my nice clean work surface. I don't want to hurt this wood table with any tools, sandpaper, materials, glue, finish, whatever. I don't want to ruin this table or any other surface that I work on. So I just have a disposable box here. You can use any box you want. That gives you a spot to work, and this is just about the right size for our hammer project. I also have some paper towels handy, so I just grabbed about 4 sheets. These are the half sheets, so I may need more, may need less, but I didn't want to use a whole roll obviously, so I got a few of those. Let's go over what was in our bag now. So if you picture hammer kit up from school, you'll see that you have your wood blocks. One of these blocks will have your name and an image in it if you turn that in on time, or if you came in after school one day and helped me do it if you didn't turn it on time. For today, I'm just going to use 2 blank wood blocks, and that's okay. Some people might have just blank ones, and that's no problem. So I got my blank wood blocks. I got my 2 maple spacer blocks. The lighter color is maple, the darker color is walnut. Then I have my maple handle. Next, as we get to the tools, I have my 3-piece rasp set. R-A-S-P, my 3-piece rasp set. These tools are going to do the majority of the work for us as far as shaping the handle and the hammer head to look the way we want. Next, I laser cut some rulers for you guys. So here's a ruler. That way you can accurately measure where you want to make specific marks using your tools on the hammer. 2 number 2 pencils so you can make those marks. Pre-sharpened, you're welcome. We got a 2-inch foam brush. This is what we're going to use to apply our wood finish, and I'll get to that real quick here. Here is our wood finish and our wood glue. This one is our wood glue. It's a thicker liquid and it's a little bit off-white. And the wood finish is a very watery liquid, and it's pretty much clear. So don't get these two mixed up. You know, the glue is the glue and the liquid is a mineral oil. These are both non-toxic, food safe, but please don't eat them, and make sure you keep them away from your pets or young siblings. And then the last thing that we have in our kit is a variety of sandpaper. So we have a nice 80 or a 100 grit sandpaper, an 80 grit sandpaper, sorry I had them backwards. So 80 grit, 100 grit, 120 grit, and 280 grit. So when I'm saying grit, I'm talking about how rough the sandpaper is. And you can probably even see it in the camera here. The 80 grit is very rough. It actually feels like small particles of sand. And then as we get softer and softer, we get to 280, and this feels like maybe grip tape on a skateboard or something like that. It's much less rough. So we start with the high or a low grit and work up to a high grit, and that's going to provide a smoother finish for our wood. So that's the contents of our kit. Everything that you see here, that's what you guys have at home, and I'm doing this at my home too. On the kitchen table, but I make sure I have a nice cardboard box or some kind of disposable surface so I don't mess up my kitchen table. So let's get going and let's do the first step in creating this hammer. Alright, so the very first step in creating this hammer, we actually don't need very many tools. We really just need our wood material and our wood glue, a cardboard box to work on, and some paper towels handy. You're definitely going to want to remember to bring your paper towels because your fingers are going to get glue on them, and you want to wipe off the extra glue that comes out of the wood gaps. So like I mentioned, you guys are going to have one of these that potentially has your name on it. So just so I can show you what that might look like, I'm just going to take a pencil and write. Write name. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to show you that it does matter the orientation of the name in relation to the hammer. I'm also going to just gently use my fingers to get the burrs off the corners of the wood from the saw. If you want, you can use your sandpaper to do this too. It doesn't need much sanding though, so I kind of discourage that unless you have a gentle touch. You just brush it real quick with sandpaper. But if you start sanding the corners, that's something that's going to be noticeable. You can't make it grow back. So just make sure your wood pieces are relatively clean. Get those little burrs off the end. Be careful for splinters. And then let's clean up our surface a little bit. Just get those little wood shavings in a corner over there. So I'm going to save this one that I wrote name on for last. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a walnut block. And I can look at this and find the edges that I like. You know, I kind of like this edge. I think that's going to be the outside edge. So I'm going to make sure that faces the table, because this is the inside of the hammer that's up now. Now I can look at these two maple blocks. You can see that they're not perfectly square. This one is wider in this direction, but if I flip it, they should be really, really close. And they should be very close to the exact same size. It's okay if they're a little bit off. That just means we have to do a little sanding at the end. Now let's look at the wood grain. The wood grain is these lines that run through the wood. And I want to make sure that that wood grain matches the lines in this wood on the maple piece. So if I line those up this way, you can see that it fits pretty well. If I line them up that way, you can see that I have a big gap at the top. So I want to make sure that the grain lines up with the grain on the maple pieces. Just like that. These go all the way out to the edge, like that. And that's where the maple handle comes in. So the maple handle is going to slide right in there. And this is, again, something you want to find the right side that you're going to be using. So you see here, and that may be a little hard to see in the camera, but that's pretty flat right there. Whereas if I turn it this way, I have a lip right there. So I want to use my handle that direction. And again, it's okay if these are a little bit off, because that just means we're going to sand them down, and that's something we plan to do anyway. So there's our handle just kind of dry laid in there. And that's where this name piece comes in play. I can have my name oriented like that, to where when the handle is standing up, I can read my name. Or I can have it upside down like that, so I can set the hammer down on its top, and my name would read that way. That's 100% up to you, but it's something to consider before we glue it. Because once we glue it, this is permanently on there. I'm going to plan for my piece to be like this. I want mine to look just like that, so that my name fits with the hammer. If I can hold this together, I want that because maybe if I store it, I'll hang it up, or I'll lean it up like that, and my name is still readable. Whereas, if I did it upside down, which is kind of hard to do, my name would be upside down. So if you want to store the hammer like this, or you want to present it that way, you can put your name upside down like that, or right side up in this orientation. However you guys prefer. So I'm going to do it the way that I said, with my name facing the handle. So now all we have to do is glue this together, and we're going to find some books or something to stack on top of this to make it all held tightly together, just for a couple minutes, and then leave it overnight for it to dry. So I'm going to get my glue ready. Take the little red cap off. Now, you want to be clean with this glue. You don't want a lot of glue. You really don't need a lot of glue. But you do want to use your finger and make sure you cover the whole surface to ensure all the surface area of the glued area is completely covered in glue. You don't want to just do a zigzag, because then you might have pockets that aren't glued, making them a little bit weaker. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by gluing the back of this piece and the inside of it. Then the back of this and the inside of it. And then I'm going to put a little glue around the whole handle and then put it in there just like that. So all my pieces are going to fit together nicely because I have them already oriented the way they are. I just got to pick it up and put it in. And then last, I will glue the back of this piece and set it on top of all of them, and then hold it tight, make sure everything is square, just for about 120 seconds. Just count 60 twice for 2 minutes, and that should be a tight enough glue for you guys to go grab something to hold it on. Just, you know, put on top, clamp it together with whatever you have, and leave it overnight. So it's going to do that. Just squirt some glue on here. A little bit light, so I'm just going to put a little bead. It's better to start out too light and add a little bit before you put it on. I'm just making sure the entire surface there has glue on it. I'm also going to do this end. So far, the only part of my hand that has glue on it is just the tip of my finger. So try to be clean when you're working, and it's going to save you a lot of cleanup time. So we'll set that in place. We'll do this side. Again, I'm just keeping it oriented how I had it laid down. That way it's easy for me to put it together. I'm going to do the inside of this face. These inside spots, that's where the handle's connected, so I want to make sure it's very well glued. There we go. I'll set that down there now. Now I can glue the handle up a little bit. So really I just need the top and the bottom. The sides are already glued, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little there, and a little there. See, right there, just dripped a little bit of glue, but it landed on my cardboard, so I am okay. A little bit. Notice how I'm not going very far down the handle. If you want to be more precise with it, you can definitely measure down and measure exactly how far you got to go, but I'm okay sanding that because I know I have a lot of sanding to do anyway, so I'm not too worried about having to sand just a little bit more. Alright, so that's in there. It's ready to go. It does need to be held tight, but I got one more piece to put on. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on and then try to get it going. Now that's why I'm just going to do the whole surface here. Again, this is where I need to remember which orientation I want. I chose that way, so that's how I have it in my hand already. I can't mess it up. Keep my other fingers away from the glue so I don't get too messy. Alright, I might go just a tad more. I have not used a lot of glue. I know it's going to be hard to see what's left in that glue bottle just because the glue went up to the sides, but by weight it doesn't feel like I've used anything, honestly. Alright, so I'm going to set that down real quick. I give it a little bit of pressure, let it hold. And I just want to move a little bit quickly here, still being cautious about what I'm doing, but I can wipe my fingers off now. And now I think it's going to be best if I simply just push this up on its top. I can use the table to help me make this square. I'm just going to push tightly everywhere, making sure it's nice and square. And then I'm going to squeeze it real tight. And as I'm squeezing it, you can see that some glue's coming out. That's perfect. That's what you want. Glue on the top's coming out, but it's not too bad on the top, right? That's okay. Got a little there. Wipe that up so I can put it back. You just gotta move a little bit quick here. So now I can start cleaning up some of the extra glue that I had on the handle. A little extra glue there, so I'll just run a paper towel across it. Again, this is going to need to be sanded. I'm not trying to make it perfect right now because it's going to have to be sanded anyway. but I can get it closer to save me a little sanding time and effort. So I got it glued together now, and now I'm going to go ahead and put some pressure on it for about 60 seconds. Okay, so I held that real tight for about 2 solid minutes, and now it's definitely not fully cured, but it is a little bit to where I can move it. So what I want to do now is go ahead and clean my work surface a little bit. I'll clean the top of the glue bottle. I'll put the cap back on. If I want, I can reuse the surface, so I might as well just clean that little drop of glue that I had. And now I can go back and I can put something on top of this if I want. So I might go ahead and close that box. Another good reason to use a box like this. And I can put something heavy on top of there. So give me 1 second. So here's what I got. Doesn't have to be anything crazy, just something that you can balance there overnight just to really help it cure. Because we were making the mallet, we want to be careful. So I'm going to balance that book on there, get it centered up. And I have this box of roofing nails that has a little bit of weight to it. It doesn't have to be crazy heavy. And there we go. I'm just going to let that sit just like that overnight. And when I come back, we'll do the next couple steps. Right now, we don't need any of our other tools. In fact, just go ahead and wait for another instructional video to come out, and that's where we can go through the rest of the tools. We don't need our finish. We don't need our sandpaper. We don't need the rasp or anything like that right now. All we need is just to let this dry. A little bit of patience is how this glue is going to get held up nice and tight. Might give that a little bit of a push, but then I'm going to let it sit. So once you get to this step, then you can go and watch the next instructional video, and we'll learn how to use the rest of the tools and start shaping this hammer to look the way we want it. Alright, thanks guys. Thanks for watching.